Good guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Adam Goodley, and today we're going to be going over how to use the Aquatech to get that split shot under the water. We're at Marine Lake. We just cycled in. It's beautiful here. No one's around because the road's closed, so we cycled in, rented out some e-bikes. But as you can see, there's still snow all around here, so we're going to jump in here and get some split shots going. Let's get into it. So what I first do is I actually get a pair of waders, some boots, and I got some dive gloves. You don't really have to use dive gloves, it's depending how cold your hands get. And a couple of things you're going to want is a dome port. It's a little bit a dome port because it makes it a little bit easier. Some controls on the back, so you can move your focus up and down. I'm going to bring it over to Dave. He's going to explain a little bit of a setup that I have just on the Sony A7R3. It is a little bit different for every camera, but it's still similar to the same, as long as you can get movement with the dials and as long as you can change your ISO. So jumping over to Dave, just explain a little bit of the settings.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dave. I've been told to talk to you about the settings for the Aquatech. Yeah, I guess we should jump into it. I have to start off by saying we are not sponsored by Aquatech, but if you want to sponsor us, hook us up, sure. Anyway, so I got the A7R3 here, and what I first do when well, it actually took me a little bit to figure out, but I sort of have it dialed now, how I like doing it anyway. So first off, we're going to change the focus area, and we're going to change that down to the flexible spot large, and now you have a little spot in the middle there. And now I'm going to go over to push the menu, go to the second menu, and you're going to go custom keys in number 8. And first off, we're going to change the control wheel to the autofocus. So we're going to go autofocus AF in number 1, and then we're going to go either. So if you want to move the AF point from left to right, or you want to move it to up and down, depending on what you want to take. If you're shooting vertical or horizontal, you change it to accordingly. So we're gonna put that at up and down. So then when you move the wheel, you can focus at the top, focus in the middle, then focus down below. This is how you can stack your shots. After that, we are going to go into, again, the custom key, and I'm going to go across, and now my right button. So when you push the right button, you always get the ISO, like a factory settings already does this. You just got to go to non-set, which is on 20. So not set. Now you have no ISO button. Shit. Anyway, now AEL, I have put it here, the ISO button. The reason I have put the ISO button here is because when you're in the water, so I'll grab the Aquatech here. So when you're in the water, this is your button that you're going to turn, and it's going to get your focus. So if you're going to try to get the focus down below or up the top, you're just going to be turning this dial, correct? Well, not correct, you're just doing it. So then what you're going to do is every time you pushed it down, like say you pushed it a little bit too hard by mistake, you're going to hit your ISO, and then your ISO is going to start reeling through. It happens so often on many shoots that I've got really sick of it, so I had to change my ISO button. So that's a big reason why it's my ISO is here, and this corner button over here, and not down here to the right. So now I'm free to just turn my focus if I want to put focus up top or below without any distractions. And then if I want the ISO, you push the button and then you move the dial, and then you got your ISO there. So anyway, I hope this has helped you a lot with the settings. I'm going to throw you back to Adam, and yeah, thanks for watching for me anyway. Sure.
So thanks very much, Dave. So pretty much we're all set up, ready to go into the water. So let's just jump straight into it. found easiest is once it's actually in there and I could just change the ISO. I actually have a high aperture and I just kick my aperture there. At the moment it's at aperture 16, 250th of a shutter. And I find it just a little bit easier because I can take some photos, and then if I need to I can adjust my ISO, and that's how I can get it. Now over here there's with all the ice behind me, I'm actually just going to walk in with waders. There's a cool little ice part over here. I'm filming this by myself, so it's sort of harder just to show you guys. There's a cool little bit of rock, and it cuts off with some ice, and we've got the mountains in the back, so it's a cool little shot. Well, let's just jump in there and see what we can get. It's really unique shots that we can get, and I'll show you how I do, and I'll show you guys how I do this, because I don't know, being a landscape photographer and just try to get something unique shots in a really popular area is always good and different. So I'm just going to walk in this icy water and go from there. There's a cool shot here where I've got like, oh! So one thing when you're actually doing the split, so you're going to be dipping your camera in and you're going to be coming out, but see all the water droplets on there, and they just don't just drip off. An easy way to do this is just use saliva. Sounds gross, I'm not going to do it on camera, but I'm going to put my own saliva on this, makes it around, and normally if you actually do it like 15 minutes early, it actually gives a better layer to it, but I didn't do that, so we're going to do it now. And all it's going to do is when you dip it in, the water's going to come straight off it and not stay on the lens like it is right now. Now that we've got our lens all lubed up, we can get to work. So all we're going to do is just get a quick dip on, and you can see the water just comes straight off. Now you only need to go down just a little bit, and you can get the bottom angle of the ice, and then you also get the top half as well. So what I've got right now is my focus. I brought my focus all the way down to the bottom. Now I'm going to do 2 shots. So just in case, like with a wide lens at 16mm, if you can go wider, it makes it a lot easier, and have a higher aperture, you can get everything all sharp. But if you don't want to do that, if it's a little bit too dark, what you could do is, right now I've still got on f16, you're going to do 2 shots. Now, since I've changed my focus into the movement, and I've customized my key to the little dot that can move up and down, and my dial is just going to move my focus to the top. So when you're in the water, it's a lot easier if you have a tripod, and you can keep in the same thing. You're going to take your first shot down the bottom, and you're going to try to keep it still as possible. As I said, it's easier with a tripod. Bring your focus all the way to the top. Take another photo. So this does take a lot of patience, and it takes a bit to get used to. I have spent a lot of time trying to get this perfected, and still I have my little frustration moments with it. But if you can just follow what I do, and eventually you'll get there. So let's jump into Photoshop, and I'll go over some of the photos that I did today and of how I put them together. Alright, so now we're going to jump straight into Lightroom and Photoshop, and I'm going to show you how I put together a photo, and that's how I did my split shots. Now I've actually filmed this like 2 days later, because the next day after riding back I was so tired. I got home at like 9:30 at night, and then I was just dead, and then the next day I was just so sore I didn't want to do anything, so it's like a couple days afterwards. Anyway, let's jump into it, and I'll start showing you guys my process of doing it. Alright, so I've just jumped into Lightroom here, and first off, as you can see, I've picked out already a couple of photos for us to do. Now, when you're first jumping in to the water, it just does take a little bit of time. Where this one here, most of the time you're going to come up with shots like this, where the top is all in focus, but the bottom is slightly in focus, but not really in too much focus. Where I find this is the reason why I do two shots,
is because I want everything in focus and I want everything detailed. So if I do decide to make a print out of them or something like that, I know it's all in focus and I'm happy with it. That's the reason why I do two shots. You can get away with doing one shot if you like. I find the easiest way is to have a very wide lens and then a high aperture. So a wide lens, I would go for 12mm or 14mm. It's a lot wider than my 16mm, but still, for me personally, I like doing my 2 shots. Now I have picked out a couple of shots already, and we'll just come over here. So this is my first one where you could see me in the water. We've got a little bit of iceberg here. Now this here with the 0.85 is my lens. The sun's just at the top here and it's reflecting into the water, which reflects onto my lens. And there's sun writing over here. Not too much of a big deal because you can get rid of it in Photoshop. So as you're going along, you can see what one's in focus and this one here. So one thing you guys could do is, now you see I have got the focus layer on the bottom here, focus layer on the top, and now I come over to here and this layer is not edited at all. So what you can do, if you want to do a little bit of edit in Lightroom here, you can Command left click. Now I put stars down here by just pushing numbers. You can go 1 to 5 and see whatever you pick from. That's how I've chose my 2, so I know those are together. Now if I want to, as you can see, one's edited and one's not, you can always come over to the edited one, not edited one, and go over here to sync and synchronize. And now you have both the same. Now while both of them are highlighted, you want both of the ones that you want to put in layers in Photoshop. So we're going to right click this, we're going to edit in, and open as layers in Photoshop. So you don't actually have to edit in Lightroom at all. You can just highlight them, go edit in and open layers in Photoshop, and then you can actually save it and come back into Lightroom and edit in there if you want, or you can just edit in Photoshop here. So the first layer is our foreground and the bottom layer is the mountains. So I'm just going to put mountains. So I'm just going to put that at the top so I know that's that. Now we're going to Command left click and have both of them highlighted, and then we're going to come over to edit, come down to auto align layers, and auto is fine, and we're going to go OK. Cool. Gives it a little bit of a wacky movement. That's because I was doing it handheld. If you actually do this with a tripod, tripod connects to the bottom of it, way easier shots. But anyway, we're just working with what we got. Now I'm going to push C, I'm going to click the top one with mountains, I'm going to put C, and I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to crop it. So I'm going to bring these in. And I don't even need to touch the foreground because I'm not. And then I'll bring this one into the side. Perfect. And as you can see, the bottom here looks like shite. That's okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to keep it on the mountain layer, and then we're going to come down here and create a mask. Now while we create a mask, we push B for the brush. Now make sure it's over here, and then you can always just push X and you can change the color of it. So being a white mask, we want a black brush. Now you can bring the opacity up or down, whatever you want to. You can push the N squares to raise it up and down for the bigger and smaller. And all we're going to do is we're just going to brush the bottom of it. Simple enough, eh? Make it smaller. Now everything that I have is now in focus on the bottom. Now you could go bring your opacity a little bit down to, I don't know, we'll say 50%, and you can bring your small brush and you can go in here, and then you could zoom in just to make sure it's all in focus. And if it's not, you can just push X and then go back. Just keep switching it between the white and black brush to see how you like it, and use your opacity. Your opacity is your best friend. Okay, so now that's pretty much it. I have a focused foreground, or I have a focused mountains, and you're probably thinking, but those numbers are still there, that looks gross. Now if you were happy with the way it is, you can combine them both. So if you can go Command and then left click both the layers, and then Command E, you merge both the layers. There's a quick shortcut, easy to do. Right, now that both of them are merged, we can push L, and what that's going to do is give us a little lasso tool, because you can want to get rid of all these numbers, and if there's any like little spots from the water, you can also get them rid of. I sort of like this because it's a little bit of sun coming up here, so I'll bring down the highlights and I might put a little sun star or something in there. So from here on out, it's how you want to decide how you want to edit it. Super simple, cool. So now I can just go to lasso tool, and then we can just take away all the numbers, and we're just going to go fill, make sure it's on content aware, 100%, okay. Done. That's it. So I'm just going to work my way around doing this. Now if you don't like editing in Photoshop, super simple. What you're going to do is come up to here for File, then you're going to go Save. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring this picture here, whatever you've worked on, and it's going to bring it straight into Lightroom, and it will show up here, and you can edit the way you want to. It will bring in both the photos all merged, and it's back in here. So here's a little one that I did, and this is just like a sort of final image of it. I'm still tweaking it because I'm not really sure how I like about it. This little sun here, I'll get into that, but I'm going to make something for you guys and teach you how to guys do that. But it's a cool little effect, super simple to do, and it adds a lot to your photo. But otherwise, that is pretty much how I edit my split shots from underwater, my split shots under and over shots. Split shots and under and over shots. They're the same thing. It's always called a different way. But anyway, I hope this has helped you guys. I hope you learned a little bit. Please hit that subscribe and maybe a little like button. It does help me a lot, and it gets my channel out there a little bit. So thank you for watching. You have a wonderful day. I'll see you very shortly. Peace.